came in, and the first convention I dealt with was Rome. Now, how could you get it any different than that? That was about as good as you get. Had great attendance. We had great networking throughout. We had 2 buses that we took for tours. Everything worked well. I mean, I loved it. But with every good thing, there's always adversity. And at that time, we all know that there was, we were dealing with CAT, ET, and CIS and everything else. A lot of people were going through lawsuits. And so at that time, I was asked to go down. We had somebody that was in the exhibit hall that wasn't supposed to be there. By the bylaws, they couldn't be there. So I was asked to go down and talk to them. And so, I make a long story short, they left, no big problem, but that was my first thing I had to do as president. So, other than I got to go to Rome. But, no, it was great. We had great tours all throughout, everything. The next year, 9/11 rolled around. And I was asked at that time, do we want to have it or not? And it was a tough decision. I mean, there were a lot of people, I didn't want to put anybody in jeopardy, but at the same rate, I wanted anybody that wanted to come to be able to come. And so I finally made a decision to, yes, so we would have it for those who could. But if there was any chance, any possibility you didn't want to make it, we understood. Well, we had a good showing. I believe we had like 350 people that year, which was a good showing for that. And the thing that really made my day was when one of the vendors from Europe came up to me, and my wife and me were walking down to the restaurant, and he came up to me and asked, he goes, "I'm really glad you had this." And that made it feel like these people want to be together. And it also, I realized the resiliency that this group had, how they bounced back from adversity. You know, they did things, well, top notch is the best I can say. Then they, we went on, and I'm a big believer that, my wife's going to kill me for doing this, going to do it all the time. 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth. So I said, you use them that way, you can't screw up. You just can't. And, I listen a lot. I'm kind of a quiet president. I listen to what people have to say. Everybody's opinion is very important. We want to make sure they get to say it. And then you just got to evaluate and work it out. And, we did that through all of our board meetings. And I think we had a real good board. I believe in the mentorship that we had. I had some great mentors. The first board meeting I ever went to as a director, no more than got in the room and I heard a knock on the door. And of course, I'm brand new. And opened the door, and here was a man, Fred Heath. And Fred looked at me and said, "What are you doing for dinner tonight, young man?" And I said, I probably look like a deer in headlights, I don't know. Anyway, he said, I said, "Well, I don't know." And he said, "You're coming with us." So they took me out to dinner, and we went there, and I didn't just get to sit there, because I figured it out real quickly. They were going to ask me questions, so I had to listen. So the whole time I was listening to him and Rick Sylvester, and from that point on, those guys really looked, they were a lot older than I was. But I just loved the idea. I loved what it stood for. I loved that, there is a place for the aftermarket. And I really enjoyed being with them. I got to be with them. I got to be with Bob Rasmuson. I almost missed my first board meeting as a president because I was sitting in Rome talking with Manny Crystal, and he was telling me all about the IDA, and I was trying to soak all this up. They were just such good members. Well, to make a long story short, like I said, I've got a wife and 4 boys that work with me. I don't have much authority there anymore. But now I'm learning that it was hard for me to give up. You know, I'm in this little box here that I knew would work. My way would work that way. But when you getting other opinions, I always told them your opinion's important. So when I was trying to deal with that, they would say, well, you know, I really think this is the way we should try some. Well, I started backing off of that. And all of a sudden I realized, you know, it was hard to do. And then I started realizing that now they're mentoring me again. You know, now I'm listening to them talk about it. And they were really, you know, they believe me, when you have 4 boys and no wife, they have all kinds of ideas. So, lots and lots. So, but now I just kind of backed off the boys and her taking over, and they have good ideas. But nothing I would have even thought about on my own. So mentorship is so important both ways. So, you know, like I say, the IDA's been good for us. We've had a great time with it. Yeah. My leg's shaking. But we had a great run with it, and I wouldn't miss it for the world. I mean, I really would. So, Bruno, I think that's about all I have.
Well, I haven't been president for a long time. I've never been to Rome, but while I was president, we went to Dublin. I'm honored to follow in these men's footsteps. You've seen them all there. When I joined the board, he used to be a friend. Pete Zvansgaard told me, "Oh, join the board. 2 years, you're done." So that's 10 years ago. Anyways, but it was fun. I served under Bob Creighton, and then Paul Bonovich, and then Lance. Now it's my turn, and I'll do as best I can to honor their legacy. And if I have one word about my presidency, is the IDA is changing. I want to honor the past. I want to keep the legacy going, but realistically, we're in another era now. We need to be thinking of other ways to do business. We got to think of how we do marketing differently. Everything's changing, and we need to adapt. I want to embrace the future as much as I want to honor the past. On that, enjoy the rest of the convention. Thank you for coming.